going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek-Stew. And today, guys, welcome back to another episode of Conspiracy Theories with Ike. That's right. First things first, I just want to say a little bit of a different setup. So for today, I'll be putting in the images or supplemental material on this side of the screen. I was actually thinking about it last night. I was sitting there, I was like, I always put it up on the right hand side, so I was like, I'm just gonna switch it up and put it up on the left hand side, see if it makes a difference. I don't think that it will, but I had like this weird like brain fart moment where I was like, I feel like I always put it up on the right hand side, and now I'm just gonna do it on the left hand side. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So for a couple quick updates here, not gonna lie, this may be a little bit short. So today's theory is pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry. It is a fun theory. I think it's fun, at least. But yeah, it's, you know how it is. But also, I included it in last week's video, but I do want to say a very special thank you to all of you for 1,500 subscribers. So yeah, that's really cool. We got to 1,500 subscribers. I'm really pumped. But I wanted to specifically say thank you. I actually noticed it while I was editing last week, and I was like, oh man, I should probably add this in. I was like, because it's 1,500. So that's what I did. I added it into the video, but I didn't actually mention it during the video. So this is my official recognition of all of you for, continuing to subscribe and support the channel. So thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated. But yeah, so a little bit of a different setup. No, I don't use that. If anybody has any questions, I'm too fat to use it. I'm just kidding. I don't, but it's not mine. It's not mine. Where we live, this belongs to somebody else. I don't operate on it. New conspiracy theory. Can I exercise?
Wow.
Alright, so now we're actually going to talk about the theory. Has nothing to do with me exercising, unfortunately. If you're looking forward to that, I'm very sorry. But today's theory, I do have to show you a head. To be specific, this head. So basically, this is a terracotta head. For those who maybe don't know, or who have never learned Latin, as I haven't, or what is it, Latin or Italian, I think it is. Yeah, Italian. Terracotta stands for baked earth or cooked earth. So baked earth in Italian, cooked earth in Latin. And if that wasn't enough of a clue, it is made out of clay. So, that's how it goes. So it's a clay head. So these are common in a lot of different cultures. So it's one of those information things where you can find a terracotta head in essentially, I would say, any culture that has the ability to work with clay. So enough about the whole terracotta soldier or terracotta head thing. Basically, the reason I brought all of this up is just because it's kind of important, because this terracotta head is unique because, first and foremost, it is believed to have been Roman in origin. It is most likely Roman in origin, or something within that realm. But there is another possibility that we'll get into later. But specifically, this terracotta head was discovered in 1933 among pre-Columbian or just post-Columbian grave goods in the I'm going to really butcher this, so you know what? I'm not going to. I'm just going to put it up here. Okay, so that zone in the Toluca Valley, about 65 kilometers northwest of Mexico City. So what this means is that a Roman artifact was found in someone's burial goods in Mexico City before Christopher Columbus was here. Now, obviously, that's kind of a big deal, and that's really what we're going to talk about is, why that's such a big deal. And I think people probably already know why it's such a big deal, but in case you didn't, so, this obviously isn't a book report, but, obviously, if you haven't pieced it together, this head probably shouldn't be here. Given that it appears to be similar to a Roman artifact, some do believe this is evidence of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact, which there's actually a whole article about that phrase in of itself. But basically, what it means is that it is possible that there was someone who came to the Americas before good old Chris Columbus, and that's kind of cool because I think nobody really likes Christopher Columbus. I think it's pretty much just universally known that like we've gotten to the point now in our American history that we're like, yeah, okay, Christopher Columbus was not that cool. Sure, he came to America and discovered it, not really. But I think that he's given too much credit because I do think the people have been here before. I personally believe that. And I don't necessarily say this as like a hater. I mean, I kind of do. But I am just putting it together as someone who can coherently put together that Columbus was neither a hero nor needs to be remembered. So before I piss somebody off, we're just going to move forward because the theory is interesting because it puts the Romans or someone in relation to the Romans in the Americas before Christopher Columbus. And they do this because they were able to date the artifact from prior to 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And in addition to that, they were basically able to confirm that it was here at some juncture. You know what I mean? It was here. So the fact that it was here means that someone brought it here. It didn't just boom. It didn't just pop here. Someone brought a Roman terracotta clay head or statue, we don't know where the rest of the body is, obviously, brought it here in some way, shape, or form, and boom. So that's all the context. I think it's pretty cool, and we've talked about this head a lot, but now I think it's time that we actually get into the theory because, like I mentioned, this is not history lessons with Ike. So there are a few different theories as to how this head managed to get to the Americas. And so we're just going to kind of roll through these as we go. But let's start with it's just a prank, bro. So what I mean by that is a lot of people believe that this was a hoax, that the head being there in of itself is a hoax, and here's why. Very simply speaking, they think that some way, shape, or form, specifically, and I cannot find pictures of these people because I don't think these people are, not to say they're not famous enough, but I feel like they're just like people who are archaeologists who like happen to like get put into a Wikipedia article. But an archaeologist named Paul Schmidt claimed that the head was planted on the site by a participating archaeologist named Hugo Modano, and it was an attempt to prank the site's dig supervisor, Jose Payan.
You just got pranked, bro!
So basically, there are people who think that this is just like, it was a prank, and I'm not saying that it isn't likely, but I do think it would be the first time that a prank was a part of a theory. I don't think I've ever had to include possibly a prank as a reason or justification for a theory. But yeah, that's a good one. Additionally, people do think that it's believed that this could have been an import from an early European visitor. So that's kind of what a lot of people think. They came to central Mexico. The date range does put the head's burial, or I should say the date range of the head's burial includes the early period of European exploration, but it does also predate first sustained contact with Mexico. So that would mean that at the very least, this head was here during the early stages of the Europeans' exploration, and then at the latest, but at the earliest, prior to any sustained contact. However, in that same thread, it also may be a Norse artifact because the figure does have an unusual headdress. I'll throw it back up here just in case, and does bear a possible resemblance to Norse and or Viking headgear. So that's another theory. Additionally, another theory is that it was simply traded or carried to Asia and it was imported to America via a trans-Pacific route from Southeast Asia by a Chinese or Indian ship. So I think that could also be possible, I guess. I don't know who here would like to purchase a terracotta clay statue or head, but in case someone did want to do that, I guess that could have happened. So, but last but certainly not least, and this one's kind of cool, some people argue that a Roman, Phoenician, or Berber ship specifically crashed in the ocean near us, and then the shipwreck drifted onto land. And when it drifted onto land, it carried whatever goods and artifacts that they were carrying. And this theory, of course, would obviously remove the possibility that Roman contact of the Americas, and it would also just imply that there was no early discovery either. But a lot of folks think this to be true, as there is evidence of travels from the Romans, Phoenicians, and Berbers in the 5th and 6th century BC to Tenerife and Lanzarote, and those are on the Canary Islands. The Canaries. I think those are different, maybe not. But long story short, it could have just been a shipwreck, right? Some dude just accidentally steered the boat into a rock and was like, oh shit, here we go. And then, of course, just some shit piled up on shore. But I do think this is odd, because I think that we would have probably discovered other stuff as well. Like, we would have discovered other artifacts if it was a shipwreck. I would imagine that if somehow either a head or a full statue managed to wash up on shore, that something else would also wash up on shore. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. But I think that that's a likely explanation. But I like to think that there was somebody here before Chris Columbus, because obviously Chris Columbus getting here wasn't exactly a joyous time for people. So yeah, that's the theory on how the Toluca Valley head basically got here, why it's important, and I would argue why it kind of stands to show some significance, or hopefully shows that there is more to our history than maybe you and I understand. Alright, so as we close out here today, I want to give another thanks to Cicada1205 for the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg. I know this was a smaller theory, but I did enjoy researching it. It does put a very interesting perspective on who visited the Americas first, and it was probably not Christopher Columbus. Again, I don't mean to upset anyone who likes Christopher Columbus, but probably wasn't him. Overall, good theory. Pretty well documented information, unlike last week's video where I had to try and explain what the fourth dimension was. I had to kind of reach a little bit and tell you how it would be possible that the fourth dimension could interact with our dimension, and how maybe that the aliens and stuff that we see are just like fourth dimensional beings that are like trying to like come into our universe and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, last week's whole thing was kind of, I would say, those are the theories that I like, but I don't like, because sometimes theories have no proof, okay? And like, I'm not talking like a little bit of proof. We're talking absolutely no proof. We barely have enough proof to say that the fourth dimension exists, much less fourth dimensional entities. And the biggest issue with those types of theories is that I really have to go out on a limb and try and talk about them. And they're fun sometimes, and they're interesting sometimes, but sometimes you just watch these videos, and I watched it back, and I was like, man, I'm just like talking fucking nonsense right now, bro. But yeah. So this was a lot more of a, because you can look this up. If you were to Google Toluca Valley Head, you are going to 100% for sure find something somewhere on Google telling you about the Toluca Valley Head. It's a very well-documented case of archaeology where people got a little confused about the origins of said archaeology, because it's a terracotta head of Roman origin, or supposed Roman origin, or at the very least a Viking origin, which again lends to the idea that there was someone here before Chris Columbus. So these kinds of discoveries definitely sort of throw a wrench into what we believe to be what our history is, but this isn't the first time that's happened. So overall, a good time. Nothing like that crazy shit that I had to talk about last week. But next week, I'm actually talking about a little bit of a theological theory. We'll get into that next week, though. And fun fact, next week, when that video comes out, I will be on a cruise ship. So I'm going to get them up and plugged before, I go on vacation. So don't you guys worry about that. But I'm not going to continue to ramble on. We're already almost 3 minutes into this outro. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Leave a comment down below if you want to see your favorite theories covered, or if you just want to hear me talk about something. I actually got a really good one that I'll be doing, not next week, but the week after. So keep that in mind, because I got a good one coming up. And yeah, so stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay awesome. We will see you in the next one. See ya.